seconds. And get your drinks ready. I know I've got mine. In tonight's show, I get to talk with Matt after his trip on the Carnival Triumph. We have new Complaints Corner segment all ready for you, a Show Us Your Face segment, and we edge ever closer to our next season with 5 new cruisers heading out for their very first time on a cruise ship. All this and more right here because this is Cruise Week TV Live.
-15-minute walk to there, so it was really nice. We got a really large amount of walking in there, so that was really great. The only unfortunate thing about that was, since I was sick, walking a lot was not pleasant. I ended up throwing up in an alley, because I'm very classy like that.
Well, I have to tell you, being in New Orleans, I'm sure throwing up in an alley, you fit right in with the rest of the crowd.
No one really seemed... I was just like, da-da-da-da-da. Hold that thought, I'll be right back. I see an alley right over there, and that looks very, very good right now.
Just pick one of the alleys that everyone else is throwing up in. It's no big deal.
It was not a pleasant time, but it was a really nice time. Kind of like towards the end of the night when we got to kind of go around some of the areas. Unfortunately, since I was sick, it just was difficult to kind of maintain everything. Yeah.
Oh, we are keeping an eye on Facebook, and it says no sound.
No sound.
All right, excellent. All right, well.
Okay,
right,
so there we go.
There we go. Okay, so guys, we got sound back now.
Good. We had a slight technical difficulty.
Probably lightning or something that hit a transformer in the area.
Yeah.
Very, very sorry. I do apologize. That's okay. We can start this interview over again because we are professionals. So.
And we have drinks to cover everything up.
Yeah, you guys haven't missed too much without sound, I promise. Matt was telling me that this was his first time actually in New Orleans, and he was telling me a little bit about New Orleans. Matt, just go ahead and tell me what you told me all over again.
I was pretty sick running around. We probably did about 8 miles each day in New Orleans, just kind of running around there. And yeah, I got sick in one of the alleys, so it's a good New Orleans thing, and everyone's like, oh, he's so hungover from last night. I'm like, I wish I could have anything to drink or eat right now. I feel so terrible, but I managed for the ship. We got quite a lot of good interviews, a lot of good different videos and segments of running around the ship. So that was pretty good. I still was able to kind of muster up enough strength to do that, as well as drink a little bit on the ship. But I really do miss the Cheers package quite a lot.
Oh, that. Oh.
It was weird not having it.
Yeah, I bet that was weird. So, I mean, of course, you had a couple drinks on the ship, right?
I had a couple drinks, of course, at Alchemy Bar,
You have
and
to.
when we went to the art gallery, if you go there, they give you a bunch of free champagne. And oh, we're slowly getting lights back on in the show. I'm a little bit blue right now, but I'm sure that'll be corrected later on.
Yeah, I want to thank our guests for bearing with us on the technical issues that we're having today. So thank you very much for bearing with us. Be sure to send in your questions for Matt.
And what you can't see in the background is Bird running around, muttering under his breath, be like, "Oh my God, why is this not working? Why is this working? Why is this not working?" So it's good, you know, technical difficulties, little strobe show kind of going on behind us. But
if you have epilepsy, I apologize.
They probably can't hear you apologize right now, if that's the case. Anyway, so I'm assuming you've been to New Orleans before, correct?
I've been to New Orleans 4 different times. A couple times were for work. New Orleans is a beautiful place to visit. I would not want to live there because I would get in way too much trouble. Although I did have a chance to talk with one of our viewers during the time that you were gone. Celia, actually, she's from Louisiana, and she brings up a really good point. They have some of the best dishes in New Orleans and across Louisiana, hands down. Like the red beans and rice and the gumbo is just like they have some of the best food. I will say that.
We actually got to meet up with Celia before.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, in New Orleans. So that was really cool. It was towards the end of the cruise, just because at the beginning I'm like, I'm so sick, so we'll have to reschedule it. So she came to our hotel. We had a drink at the bar. We relaxed. She showed us a bunch of different cuisine that she cooked, and she looks like she has everything so under control with her food. It looks absolutely phenomenal. I really cannot wait to try some of it.
Marvelous.
The first time we were at Bourbon Street, we went to this random restaurant on Bourbon Street, and it was more for like the environment, like there were little street bands behind you and other different things on it. We were on a balcony outside, so it was really cool. The food was just do not get food on Bourbon Street. It was really overpriced.
Yeah,
and it just wasn't great quality.
I would always say go to a restaurant slightly off Bourbon Street, just a few blocks away, and you'll find a better price, better food, for sure.
We went to this random hole-in-the-wall place called Ron's Gumbo Shop or something of that nature.
Ron's Gumbo Shop, specifically?
I think so.
Okay.
Or Chef Ron's Gumbo. Oh my goodness, this food was absolutely amazing. And just the experience of actually just going to be able to go sit down there. The chef came out after your food was ready. He's like, "Hi, so how do you like the food? Do you have any questions like that?"
I love when they do that.
Random place. There was maybe like 5 tables in there. But it was packed. There's at least 25 people in there at the bar, everywhere, and it was just amazing food. Really, really good food. The best food I think I had.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's amazing how some of the little hole-in-the-wall places there will get they are always packed because the food is just that good.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah. So New Orleans was a lot of fun. So tell me about you spent like one night in New Orleans before you went on the Triumph?
One night in New Orleans before we went on the Triumph, and then a night after we got off the ship.
Okay. So now all right. So you get on the ship. The first day on the ship. What is the first thing you do when you get on the ship?
We record a lot of video.
Oh, of course. Well, I mean, but you personally, what do you like? Did you get any drinks when you first got on?
No. When I first got on, usually I try not to get drinks when you first go on because since you are at port, they are going to charge you taxes on drink as well. Yeah. So if you have the Cheers program, you still have to pay for taxes. Gratuity's already added onto there, so usually I try not to get drinks right away when I'm on the ship. First thing I like to do is drop my bags off, unpack, kind of like just lay out either in the chairs outside, kind of get some food. It kind of all depends on what time we usually get on. This time we were literally the first ones on the ship.
Literally the first ones on the ship.
Literally the first ones on the ship.
Oh my God, how early did you have to be up in the morning for that?
I believe we were up at, probably like 8 a.m. Then we left, got to the port, and then we were sitting there for a good hour and a half.
My internal clock just broke. I couldn't do it.
Wasn't great. But we know first one's on. We were actually in I think it was the captain's lounge when we were waiting at the actual terminal. So we got coffee. They had snacks there with like a lot of the other higher up people or more like gold members, different other members. So I'm not sure if you have to pay like an extra fee to go into that lounge or you have like a platinum card or what allows you to go in there. If you guys know how to get into the captain's lounge for the terminal, put it in the comments below and let me know. I don't know. They're just like, yeah, we'll put you here for now. I'm like, oh, look, snacks. This is great.
Marvelous. Okay, so you get on the ship.
Yeah.
What about your stateroom? Where were you guys staying in the ship?
We were cabin 2248, so we were all the way like at the bottom floor, which is nice. I prefer that because you don't rock as much. You can't really tell.
Yeah.
It
After a few drinks, you can't tell anyway.
After a lot of drinks, you can really tell everything's moving though.
Well, I mean, but you can't tell if that's the drinks or if that's the ship. You really,
Exactly.
it's like you just can't differentiate.
That's why our room was actually pretty big, especially since 3 people were staying in there. You have the 2 beds on the bottom, and then you have the bunk bed type of thing at top, which I heard was not very comfortable to sleep on, according to Bird. And I'd always see like him push all the pillows off. It's a little weird because there's just a tiny sidebar, and it's very wobbly. And then there's nothing in back and nothing in front, so if pillows fall off or something falls off, that's
So
great.
let me get this straight. So Zach was on the bunk bed on top.
Yeah, Bird is on the bunk bed.
You deserve it for leaving me behind. Anyway,
So he didn't really have a pleasant experience like that. Especially it was fun when you could hear him like climbing up the ladder and climbing down the ladder to pee in the middle of the night. So it was a good thing. A little exercise here and there is always good.
oh goodness, I'm sorry, I'm evil for thinking that's funny. Anyway. But that's okay. I mean, that's okay. That's like the room I always see as a place to. That's where I'm going to put my stuff. That's where I'm going to sleep. That's where I'm going to shower. The rest of the time, I'm probably going to be out and about doing fun stuff.
The bathroom area I was actually really surprised about. It was pretty big. Like you can stand in there and put your arms completely out and not touch and not touch any of the walls. Ignore the picture in the background. I am so not used to sitting to this little position over here. So yeah.
It's okay. We're fun. We're enjoying the technical difficulties tonight. It seems.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Just trying to get into the picture and go back to my vacation time.
It's getting enjoyable. Like at this point, I'm finding them enjoyable. So now, this is your second cruise total.
This was my second cruise.
Did they give you the nice red card?
Of course, I got that nice little red card to keep me company. So that was pretty nice to have.
Yeah, it's like the first time I saw mine, I was like, I felt better than everyone else. You know, it's just.
Oh, you have a blue card.
Exactly, you have a blue card. This is your first cruise.
What's up, Robert? How's it going? Hey, guy. So, with that, I actually got super lucky at the casino, too. I won $200 from a random game. I won a casino hat, a casino shirt from the quarter game. I learned how to play blackjack. I won a lot of money playing blackjack, and then I lost all my money playing blackjack. But it was fun. It was fun. It was
as long as you had a good time, that's really what's most important. Honestly, the slots I see it as this way: if I spend $20 on it and it goes up and down, and eventually I lose that $20, guess what? I saw those little numbers go round and round. It helped my ADHD for a couple hours. So
slot machines, I'm not too big of a fan of because it's usually just like random luck. The quarter game, you can kind of like know when it's gonna happen. If you hit that right way for the ship scores come out, like, yeah.
There you go.
I'm starting to get more into playing card games. I think it's a lot more interesting, a little bit more fun, and a lot more sociable. The only downside to the blackjack was it is a minimum $6 hand. So I'm like, oh yeah, this is nothing. It's
it
just
goes
a couple
fast.
chips, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it definitely goes away pretty quickly. So, all right. So now, was that your day at sea that you went to the casino most of the time?
That was the last night.
That was the last night.
We were on the ship.
Okay, so that was when Lady Luck visited you with the $200 win.
No, the $200 was off a random machine my first sea day. First sea day. It was great.
So your first sea day. What was? I know you went to Cozumel on Thursday. What about the destinations before that?
We only went to Progresso on Wednesday, but we didn't really get off.
Went to where?
Progresso. It's another port in Mexico.
But you didn't get off the ship?
We had a lot of interviews. We interviewed Jess, the cruise director, Spencer, the entertainment director, and I feel like we had 2 more interviews that day, but they unfortunately were not able to finish them with us. We also, I believe, had the chef's table that day as well. Yes, chef's table.
I saw pictures of you guys at the chef's table, and I got extremely jealous of that too because I love food. So explain the chef's table to me. That seemed like they had a bunch of different little foods for you guys to try out. And it was just like they brought like one at a time. Did they bring you like a little bit of the whole menu, or was it?
So there wasn't a menu per se to choose from. It was like, here's what you're eating. So we first started off in the galley, which is the little kitchen area where you have everyone preparing your different meals. There they kind of showed us around the kitchen what everyone does. They gave us several different little appetizers. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. I know one of them was a mango sphere, which is using molecular gastronomy. Basically, where they have, imagine like a little tiny balloon and it's an edible balloon and it's filled with like a mango liquid and that was on a cracker and you kind of eat that in one bite.
Hmm.
So that was pretty good. They had a spinach cone with a salmon spread on top of it, like a little scoop of salmon ice cream. Looked like ice cream, but it wasn't ice cream.
It wasn't really ice cream?
No, it was like
I was gonna say ice cream and salmon don't sound like the good.
Yeah, no. It looked like a little ice cream cone because it was a spinach cone and like a salmon tartare. That would probably be better.
Okay.
Like chopped up.
Like a sushi almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So that was, I'm not a huge fan of seafood, but I'm like, you know what? This is, we're paying for this. It's the executive chef and sous chefs are making it, so I might as well at least be respectful and try it. And it was actually really good. There wasn't anything on there I really disliked.
Well, I saw that you guys got to go behind the scenes and actually got to go in the kitchen. They never let anyone do that. That's like top secret stuff, some of that. But that
was really nice. The chef's tour was really cool. We got to do that, but we were also invited back the next night as well for a galley tour with the chef and everything like that. And it was a little bit intimidating because I'm just kind of standing around, right? Like, okay, cool, we meet the executive chef. That's no problem. I talk to chefs like all the time. And then I see Caroline, the hotel director, I'm like, oh, I like Caroline, very shy, nice Irish accent. And then I'm like, okay. And then I see, I think Jessica Cruz director, and then like 5 other officers, like super like high up officers, and they're just all quiet, staring at me, watching me eat this food. And all the plates are like so pretty, all lined up, and I'm like, is this all for me? Are we sharing? I don't know what's going on here. And like, I don't know if I'm like supposed to take big bites or little bites or what. And everyone's like, why are we just sitting here watching this guy eat? Like, who is he? And the chef even's like, oh, well, I don't think he knows anything about food if he's like a cruise person. Well, what he didn't know is I actually have 8 years of culinary background. I used to be an executive, the lead chef for the catering company for hors d'oeuvres, and I would be sous chef for entrees and do different things like that for several years in my past. Worked as a head of a kitchen before, so I know a lot of this stuff. Also, I wanted to be a molecular gastronomy scientist dealing with food science growing up. One of my favorite shows used to be Marcel's Quantum Kitchen, but that got canceled after several episodes.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm going down the line, trying all these foods, and I'm trying to like describe them to the best of my abilities, and I'm running out of words, and it's super intimidating. Just like, okay, one, Bird's filming me eat, and you know how some people don't like
I
being watched
hate.
eat.
No, he teases like no. Don't even get worried about that because he teases me all the time about like how much I eat on cruise ships. But the food is there and it's free.
Exactly.
And you just have to not listen to him sometimes, even when he pokes you in the stomach and says, "You know what? You look like you're getting a little pudge there."
So, that wasn't bad. I'm used to the whole camera type of situation. But then, everyone else was monotone face, just like completely dead, just staring at me, watching me, like, okay, this is really good.
Yeah.
This is really good, and it was really fun. Everyone was super nice to us. It was just a bit intimidating, especially just a lot of people staring at you eating. But the chef's table was really awesome. We had a whole bunch of different appetizers that they made for us, and it was beautifully plated, really, really elegant. So many different flavors. So the presentation itself was just matched with the flavor in general. And I don't know what to say. It was just phenomenal. I would really try out the chef's table, especially if you are a big foodie person. And even if you're not, there are probably a lot of different things in there that you would never even think to try. A lot of people are very intimidated by the bone marrow souffle. Like, bones? I'm not going to eat bones.
Bone marrow?
I really like bone marrow a lot. It's very tasty. It's almost like a smoky pudding.
So, do they actually crack the bones open to get the marrow out and all that? Or
yeah.
Oh,
usually
gosh.
they take a large femur bone of cows, and then they cook it, and then they kind of just scoop out the marrow, and yeah.
That is something that I wouldn't even think to. I wouldn't think to make that. So even let alone try it. That's I want to know like what went through someone's head to say, let's just take the marrow out and see what we can make with it.
Well, a lot of different dishes, if you actually cook with the bone in, it creates a lot more flavors, versus if you take the bone out, it usually makes the meat a bit drier. The marrow, as it cooks, kind of melts down and marinates the meat and makes it really nice and tasty.
I just would never have thought. Oh goodness. But still, now let's get to Thursday. Thursday was your day in Cozumel.
Oh yes, Cozumel.
I've been to Cozumel. I've done to the Tulum tour. What did you guys do in Cozumel? Did you stay on the island? Did you go to the mainland and actually do something in Quintana Roo? Where'd you guys go?
So we met up with our buddy Adrian from Adrian Cozumel Tours, and it was a really great time. He showed us such a phenomenal type of day. Our first stop, which is probably the best stop, right at 9 in the morning, is the tequila tasting area.
Oh,
So we had.
of course, at 9 in the morning, you have the tequila tasting.
I was pretty tipsy at the end of that. I'm like, ooh.
Agave's a fruit. It's good for
Exactly. Like, this is gonna be a good morning if this is how it starts. I'm like, yes, let's finish this tour. I'm so excited for the rest of my day. So we got to go there. The first thing we had was a margarita, of course.
Of
It's
course.
like the staple.
Yeah, you have to.
So, and this was all included, and the
Did you get
tours.
the raw tequila first, though? I have, you know.
No, we had the margarita first, and then we had the main person. I cannot recall his name off the top of my head, but if you guys want to go back, watch the video, it should be up on cruising.tv or on the Facebook account. And then check that out for it. We had 4 different types of tequilas tasting there. One was a like white oak aged tequila.
Nice blanco.
These were absolutely phenomenal. Super smooth. I don't like tequila. I used to drink a lot of tequila sunrises growing up and going to the bars, and I just can't do tequila anymore, but these were absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you gotta pace yourself. It gives me a little bit of heartburn too sometimes here and there.
Bottles were about like 145 US. They're expensive. However, it was the smoothest alcohol I think I've ever had. I've had quite a lot of alcohol in my life. Sorry, mom and dad. But I really enjoyed this quite a lot. And we also had a dark barrel aged beer. Sorry, I got beer in my mind. We also had a dark barrel aged tequila as well, so it's a darker flavor. You still got
So
that
like you
more
have the
mapley bourbon taste.
you have the like the añejo and the reposado tequilas.
Maybe.
Okay.
I'm not
The
sure off the top of my
reposado
head.
is like it's the middle one. It's rested.
Mhm.
Añejo is one step above rested. That means the añejo is aged.
Mhm.
So you have like the aged one's really dark. It's the
Yes.
really dark one. And then the
I think
reposado's
they
got a little bit of
were-
a darker color.
I think they were in bourbon barrels, and that's what also gave some of the colors.
Yes.
But very great tasting. They also had several other ones that were the white tequila, no like barrel aging. However, they mix it with colada flavoring, and you could see some of the bits of fruit in there as well, so it was really fresh. The barrel aged ones last about several years for shelf life. The other ones last for a year, but still, that's pretty good for fresh fruit in it.
Yeah, that is. That is very good.
They had a mango one as well, and the one that I got after was a guava banana or sour sop, which I can't really describe the flavor. It's I don't know, like Asian candy, I guess would be the only way to describe it. I go to a lot of
Yeah.
Thai restaurants, and they have this one little candy, and it is sour
I know
sop.
the one you're talking about, the little lychee
Yeah,
one.
yeah, the
That's
little
the
one,
green
yeah.
one that's like a lychee
Yep.
on it. Yeah. There's
Yep.
that one. Yeah.
It's about that flavor.
I gotcha.
So it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And they were kind enough to be able to give us a bottle as well. So when it came back back to the States, we filled the bottle at the house. So it was good.
Already?
Yeah.
Ah!
It was Bird's
I
first
just got here.
It was Bird's first time ever tasting tequila. So we had to do it. He didn't have any tequila during the tasting tour because, we don't want moving cameras. We don't have that gyroscope technology yet. When we get that, then he'll start drinking with us. What did I think about the east side of Cozumel? The east side of Cozumel was absolutely beautiful. If I remember correctly, that's where the hotel was that Adrian took us to. And that was from Stephen Hayes on Facebook. Well, Stephen, it was absolutely beautiful. You're right on the coast. Unfortunately, we couldn't go in the water. It was very, very windy that day, so there were a lot of waves, and there's a lot of limestone. Cozumel, I believe, is on a huge limestone bed, and they're not known for having a lot of different minerals or anything of that nature. I was asking Adrian, like, they have like a gem or a stone or something.
That's native to that area.
Yeah, because some people are like, yeah, this is a native Mexican gem or something of that nature if you're like trying to look for jewelry.
I think obsidian is the thing in Mexico. Like obsidian.
Iron, gold, platinum, like more metals.
Yeah.
Obsidian, yeah, in some cases with lava stone and.
Yeah, that was my understanding. Like last time I went there, I think they told me that I got an obsidian dagger for my little trinket shelf at home, and they got that. Yeah, so. But they didn't have like a stone or anything. Well, so you guys pretty much stayed on the island. You saw the side of the island that was kind of like the middle of like nowhere almost.
We drove all the way around the island.
Oh my goodness.
So when we were at this hotel, I cannot remember the name of it. Again, go back to some of our videos and you guys can see all of it. absolutely beautiful. It was only $145 a night, which I would go and like pay for a week of that because the view itself, you have a really big lounge area, and then it has a spiral staircase going up. Huge king size bed, and in this
Nice.
area is huge. It's all air conditioned. You're about like 20 minutes away from like all civilization, so it's just like in the middle of nowhere. There's like a road behind you, but there's all gardens, a little bar, and it just looked absolutely beautiful. Really, definitely check that out, especially if you're in Cozumel. It's a side that you don't really see too often.
Got Barb on Facebook wants to know if you found any interesting or cool souvenirs while you were out there. And I want to know too, what'd you
Unfortunately
bring me
not.
back?
Was not able to haggle anywhere. When we were in Progresso, we were on the ship the whole time, so I couldn't wander around. Adrian's store, we didn't have a chance to be able to kind of stick around and like kind of haggle. We had a lot of different things we were planning on doing that day.
Mm.
So I did not bring anything back except for the tequila bottle that's empty now.
Yeah, all I heard you say just now is the only thing I heard out of your mouth was, "Yeah, I went on this cruise and I didn't bring you back anything, Joe. Sorry you had to be stuck at home."
I will give you my empty tequila bottle if we'll make it up. You can smell it. It still smells really nice.
What am I gonna do with an empty tequila bottle?
Reminisce of what it could taste like. It gives you hope to go back next
Oh,
time and try it.
give me a break. All right, tell me about your snorkeling.
The snorkeling was absolutely amazing. I've done some snorkeling in the past. I'm not a big fan of using snorkels or fins or anything like that. Um, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to go underwater for as long as I thought. I'm like, oh yeah, I can hold my breath usually for like 45 seconds, 30 to 45 seconds, and I'm like swimming around, and I'm like, oh crap, it's like 8 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
it's tough.
If you're out of practice, you gotta build your lungs back up to that strength of 45 seconds.
Exactly. Bring a
doesn't
little
take a
balloon
long
underwater
time.
with me.
Yeah, it doesn't take a long time if you're used to it. But if you're not quite used to it, then you got to build that back up.
So when we were doing that original clip, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do like my little spiel, like, hey, I'm Matt, we're in Cosmo, blah 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 blah. And then I'm like, Bird, okay, after I say I'm gonna do a flip in the water, he's like, okay, yeah, sure, do it, do it. So we're up like a good 3 or 4 feet with the boat's height, right, to do this flip.
Of course.
So I'm halfway in the air, and then smack, I land right on my back, and I hear everyone before I fall underwater. Everyone just go, oh. And you can even hear it in the video for the intro.
Oh my god, that is awful. Can we see that footage?
Unfortunately,
No,
we
we
do
don't
not
have that
have it
clip.
loaded
Okay,
up.
that's
We're
okay.
working on that for next time.
Oh, that's okay. Next time. I'm back in 2 weeks. We'll see it then.
God. So that was I had a feeling that was probably going to be not a great start to my little underwater adventures, but underwater,
I
the
just hope
fish
you weren't
like
in
go
too much pain for the rest of the day.
not too much.
Good.
We were drinking like all throughout this trip, so it was good.
Cheers.
It was a good time. So when we were underwater, everything was just crystal clear. The fish would get like the fish acted like cats. They would almost let you touch them, and they kind of back away, and it's like, I just want to touch you, fish. So it was a really great time. We were able to kind of swim around for a good 30 to 45 minutes, tread water. Unfortunately, Mizak's goggles and snorkel weren't working, so he's kind of like paddling along for a while, and I'm like, you're missing this all out. And I think the best part was they had parrotfish down there, which eat coral.
Yeah.
Because they have a little coral down there, and parrotfish can get pretty large, so it's kind of cool to just kind of swim around. And if you really, really try, you can get down really close to some of the reefs. It's not advised to touch anything. One, you don't know if they actually have stingers, barbs, any type of poisons or venoms. Usually if you don't know what it is, don't touch it. Just like strangers on the street, if you don't know who they are, probably not best to touch random people. Don't touch random animals or plants.
Note to self,
Probably
we'll
not
stop
good for
touching
you.
strangers.
Exactly. So it was a really great time. Thankfully, Adrian got some footage underwater as well, and I have a really cool Facebook backdrop now. It's me kind of swimming around underwater, and it's a good time. My hair looks a lot more red there than it does now. But
That's okay. I was going to ask about your hair, but I'm not going to ask about it now. Don't worry. But it looks good. It's a nice color. So tell me about the ship itself. What did you enjoy about being on the Carnival Triumph that might have been different about cruises from your past?
So since I've only been on 2 ships, it's kind of difficult for me to really compare the Triumph to the Magic. The Magic is a much larger, newer ship, so it's very unfair of me to be able to kind of compare them.
Yeah.
The only comparison I would really make is, it's Triumph is a smaller ship. However, the staff were a lot more active and involved just because it is a smaller, older ship. They have to have that type of involvement with the passengers. Everyone was very kind to us. The thing that stood out to me the most on the Triumph was the decor. It was beautifully, beautifully decorated. Um, I don't know really how to describe it. If you guys see some of the footage of our tours, it's very vintage isn't the correct word to use, but you can tell how it has an older style to it, which I really like a lot. They kept it up so it still looks new, but it looks like it's meant to be older. And I really like that quite a lot. Everything was very nice. Of course, they had the alchemy bar. The only unfortunate thing that I would say is they do not have a serenity deck, which is probably what I miss the most. Serenity deck is usually an 18 years or older area, which is basically an adult only, so you can kind of relax. So you have a hot tub up there. And they didn't have hot tubs on the sides due to it being a smaller ship. So a lot of time the pool and the hot tubs were crowded with a lot of kids, so we weren't able to really take a dip unless we wanted to like be with a whole bunch of kiddies and not trying to relax a little bit, not trying to like
Understandable.
share my little hot tub space with that.
We have a question that came in from Rosemary that I would like to address. I'll take a moment to address this one. She says that they're going to Ensenada for the first time and a little bit nervous, trying to figure out if it's as scary there as some people say. Not sure if she should stay on the ship. Ensenada being in northwesternmost Mexico, that's not anywhere near Cozumel. I will say this for northwestern Mexico because I actually have been to that area. If you're going to northwestern Mexico, if there is a cruise port there, stay in the touristy area. I would say if you're worried about it being too dangerous. Other than that, usually the tourist areas are fine, but I wouldn't venture maybe too far out. There are some areas of Mexico that are a little bit more dangerous, and travel advisories have been put out for them, such as Juarez and Monterrey. But as far as Ensenada, if it's a port and it's got touristy areas, I think that would be all right. So now that we've addressed that, I'm going to get back to Matt.
Also, make sure you stay in groups too.
Yes.
Being in a larger group is a lot more helpful. Instead of if you're just one or two people, it's a little bit easier to be almost targeted by people. But if you're in a larger group, just kind of like trick-or-treating on Halloween in a lot of places in the United States, if you're in, a larger group of people, it's a lot more intimidating for anyone else. So just kind of be advised, know your surroundings, stay in areas with large groups of people who are from the same area as you. Even if they come off the cruise ship, just kind of stick around where they go. If you don't feel safe exploring, just don't go exploring. Usually cruise ports are very safe. Check out some of the Carnival advised tours as well. Usually they're all led by different people who have good reputations and reputable backgrounds. So just check it out, and you can see for yourself too. Or look on Trivago or TripAdvisor.
And also check the government websites for any trip advisories that they might have. That's a good way to find out whether it's going to be a safe area or not. But other than that, go exploring, have fun. I drove across the border during one of my road trips, and honestly, I don't regret it. Had some of the best tequila, like you said, smoothest tequila I've ever had in my life, and I had 3 shots of tequila, 3 beers for all under 15 American dollars. So
not bad.
So it's good. It's really worth it. So, all right. Anyway, back to you, Matt. So now a little bit more about the ship. How was the entertainment on the Triumph?
So unfortunately, I was not able to go and see a lot of the different shows. I was sick a lot of times, so usually what would happen is we would wake up pretty early, go do some filming and breakfast, and then I would lay down for about half an hour to an hour. So I missed a lot of different shows, and usually the first 3 nights I was asleep by 9:30, right after our regular sit-down dinner. I went to bed, so I missed a lot of the shows. Bird went to a couple of them.
We did happy up early in the morning.
Yeah.
He does that to me every time. He's pain sometimes.
Not every night. There were some nights I'm like, look, I'm super sick. I'll meet you here at 11, and I'll get there at one point. But, just let me sleep in. Trust me, it's for your benefit that I don't look like I'm dead when I'm doing these videos. Or dragging around, leaving a slime trail of, tears and emotional regret of no sleep. So, yeah, it's good for me to sleep in sometimes.
Yeah, it is good. You need your beauty rest. It's important, especially if you're in front of a camera.
And especially if you have the Shears package.
Hey, that too. So now you mentioned that you had a little bit of a bug before you went on the ship, a little bit after. What advice would you have for our viewers in case they would get sick on the ship? You hear stories every now and then in the news about people getting sick on ships. It happens once in a while. Yeah. So and of course you're in closed spaces. There's a lot of people there. What advice would you have for them if they got sick on a ship?
just prepare to always get sick on a ship, just in case. Usually a lot of people don't get sick on ships, but it happens. You don't want to. No one really wants to plan to get sick, but it does happen. I always bring a bunch of hand sanitizer because you're going to be touching doorknobs and everything, and you don't know where everyone else's hands have been. Usually, the staff are really good at cleaning up everything and keeping it nice and neat and tidy, but it's hard to keep up every single time. So bring hand sanitizer, wash your hands regularly. I bring like a medical cabinet of medications with me just in case. So I had my Tylenol, I had my Dayquils, I had my anti-nausea, anti-vomiting, just everything just in case. Because you really don't want to get sick on a vacation because you lose your vacation, especially since all the food is free and everything's free. You want to have as much of it as you can. Um, Keep hydrated too. Try to eat. Don't overdo it. If you're sick, just don't overdo it. Just relax. Take it easy. You don't have to try to hit every single thing in one day. It's only going to make it worse. They do have a nurses station on board. However, they are only open at several different times. And I don't know how helpful they are there with, having different medications for sale or for free. Usually, if you buy any different types of thing on the ship, it's pretty pricey. So just bring, the little tiny pill pack beforehand, or even get a like Monday through Saturday or Sunday a little pill thing, and then put in a couple pills in each of those, and you're good to go.
Yeah, fair enough. And I know what you mean about it. It can be pricier on the ship because I've stopped by some of the gift shops that they have on the ship, and it's like a package because of course, they sell the typical Dramamines and
Yep, that's what I
aspirin because
had.
everyone gets headaches every now and then and gets seasickness. But yeah, it definitely is a little bit more pricey if you get it on the ship versus if you bring it on. So it's very good advice.
And don't buy any medications in Mexico just because it could lead to some unfortunate issues later on. Most of the time it doesn't, but I wouldn't recommend it.
That's true. I wouldn't recommend buying anything outside of outside of the country or outside of the cruise ship that you're going to be
Yeah.
ingesting on the cruise. I don't know if it's that the right. Well, I mean, if you get it like in what am I trying to say here? If you get if you get like food there, that's fine, but don't. I wouldn't bring any drugs or any kind of
Bringing drugs back on
medications.
the ship would definitely be bad, and you would most
Yes,
likely
any
get
kind.
stopped.
Even if it's just the medication, it would be aspirin. You
In
don't
some
always know.
cases, some of the drugstores, which might be legal in Mexico or some other different areas, might be illegal in the U.S. as well, and vice versa. So, for example, you can't usually buy a bunch of Sudafed in the U.S. You usually can only buy like one packs. For Mexico, there might be some medications that might have been not FDA approved and now are illegal or banned. So just kind of double check and know what you're buying and look it up a little bit beforehand. It can only help.
Excellent. So now you get. Did you have any like bad weather while you were on the ship or in any of your ports or any or
Not necessarily. When we were in Cozumel, it was really windy, but that was kind of nice because usually Mexican heat's really hot,
yes, it
and
can
it
be.
was really nice having that nice constant breeze on you to cool you off. I think it might have drizzled for like half an hour on one of the nights, but that was pretty much it. Wasn't really anything bad that I
Nothing
can
that really
recall.
bothered your vacation too much.
It's partially cloudy.
Oh, good. I mean that's one of the
Mm.
best cruises to have is when it's like the weather's nice and everything. So you get out of your cruise ship, you get back to New Orleans. Were you sick that first day back in New
Oh yeah,
Orleans?
I was super sick.
Oh
Like it was
gosh.
just all bad. It was just all sick, sick, sick the whole entire time. So I'm like, good, good. Later on in the day when I was back from New Orleans, I felt a lot better. Just eating a bit more, hydrating, and then when I was back, I was able to go to the gas station next to our hotel, grab some more medications, and really just kind of like chug on a bunch of those, have cough drops. Because when I first left, it was like a stomach issue, and then when I got back, it was more like headache and coughing and like mucus and
Mm.
all that other fun stuff. So it was two different types of sicknesses, and it was just not a pleasant time.
Oh,
Not a pleasant time at all.
yeah, that's the worst, especially especially visiting a city like New Orleans that is
Hmm.
known for its food. I feel so bad for, like I wouldn't wish that like I would not wish that on my worst
Hmm.
enemy for somebody to be sick in New Orleans when all that
Exactly.
good food is around them. Ugh,
But we were still able to go. Thankfully, that the Chef Ron Shack was a minute walk, like literally next door to our hotel.
well,
So
you
we
can
were
walk
right there.
everywhere there, yeah.
Exactly. Our hotel the second time when we were leaving, it was about a 20-minute drive to the city. So we
City, do
couldn't.
you mean the French Quarter?
Yeah, French Quarter. So it was by the airport hotel, so we weren't able to really kind of roam around and do much. So we did take an Uber back to the city later on that night, and we checked out the night scenes, went to a lot of different bars. A lot of people weren't in the bars. They would get a drink and then go back on the streets.
Yeah. Oh
I'm like,
yeah.
oh, that's
If you have
weird.
it in a plastic container, it's legal to walk down Bourbon Street with it, or
It
anywhere in the
was,
really the French Quarter.
I don't know, it's just weird to me that there weren't people actually in the bars. They were all on the street. I'm like, oh, well, I kind of like, I don't know, it's just so foreign to me, like being in Florida and other different places where, you're going to a bar to meet the people at the bar. But normally in New Orleans, I guess you just meet them on the street.
Yeah.
And it was just a really good time. And then we got an Uber back, and then, yeah, I took a shower at like 3 in the morning, and then we had the next flight right in the morning the next day.
Definitely, and I'll tell you what, it's not the first time I've heard stories from people where like people who have lived in New Orleans and said that they've gone to the bars, been drinking until 4 a.m., had to be at work at 5.
Yep.
So it's common there. We have a question coming in on from Facebook. This one comes from Barb McHudden Pepper. Did you do the wobble?
The wobble.
Yeah, she loves the deck parties. Did you do the wobble?
I did not. I was filming it. While we were on the ship, we had a lot of issues with the Wi-Fi connection, so we weren't able to do live streaming. The wobble dance was the first sea day, and right as they were doing it, our live stream shut off. So Bird's freaking out. He's like, freaking out doing his bird stuff,
Oh yeah,
ruffling his feathers.
Yeah.
So then he gives me his phone. He's like, okay, just go film stuff. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm filming with this phone, catching people do the wobble and all that other fun stuff. And yeah, it was nice, but I am not a dancer unless I have, quite a lot of, if I max out my cheers card, then I'm a dancer, but usually not a dancer. I was also pretty sick too, so I couldn't really.
Do you know how to do the wobble?
No.
Okay. I don't remember how. I kind of knew, like, I knew how at one point in time in my life I knew how to do the wobble. I don't know if I remember it, though. So, or I'm sorry, he didn't do the wobble.
No wobble.
But
I was wobbling back to the cabin at the last night, though.
Does that count?
Does
that count? That might count.
It was after we saw the dive-in movie of Moana. Love that movie.
You saw Moana?
Of course we saw Moana on the cruise ship.
Isn't that still in theaters?
It is still in theaters. So the dive-in movie theater is really great. They have a lot of feature films that just came out. And I was actually pretty impressed by it. The pixels were great. There was only a tiny, tiny section that didn't have pixels, but it was just like slightly discolored. The sound is amazing. I could hear it everywhere. Only issue is there's a lack of chairs. So many people wanted to go there, and it's nice because we got everyone of all different ages, people in like over 50. You got all little kids running around watching it, and then you got teenagers and even adolescents like in the 30s. Just every type of age range, just kind of staying around watching the movie, and it was a really nice time. And they have popcorn and blankets, but you have to get there pretty early for a blanket.
See, I didn't know they did movies like that were still in theaters. I always thought that because that was something to me that like I always saw on Disney. They had the movies that were still in theaters But that's really nice to know that Carnival does that. I was not aware. Even the ships I've been on, I didn't know they did that.
And it was really great because a lot of people gave us a bunch of chocolate-covered strawberries and champagne. So I'm like, okay, brought the chocolate-covered strawberries up. I got our own blanket. Zach and I are eating chocolate-covered strawberries and drinking champagne and watching this movie. I'm like, this is good. This is good. This is really nice.
And speaking of sweet treats, Vincent Sorletti wants to know if you ate the warm chocolate melting cake.
I did not have the chocolate lava cake. I am not a big chocolate person, nor am I a really big fan of sweets. I really like savory dishes quite a lot. And I'm starting to get more into bitter, like dark chocolate dishes. That's way too sweet for me. We actually saw how the executive pastry chef, how he makes it. So that was really cool. I didn't eat it myself. It looked fantastic, but I'm just not a big chocolate person. I did have the, oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of it. Creme brulee, which is one of my favorite desserts on the ship. It's basically like a vanilla custard, and they caramelize some sugar over it. You take your little spoon and you crack it, and it's fantastic. And the exotic fruit dish, too, because I love fruit.
Well, and Rosemary asked what the wobble was, but I gotta tell you, Rosemary, I don't know exactly how to. It's a type of dance. That's all I really can. Yeah, that's all I can really say to you without showing you exactly what it is. But we're getting pretty close to time for us to wrap up this segment. So, Matt, was there anything else you wanted to tell us about the trip before we?
Only last thing I have to say is I'm out of beer, so I'll let you finish the show, and
I'm
I'll talk
out of beer
to you later.
too. Would you grab me one? Thank you very much. I deserve it. I didn't get to go on the cruise, okay? Give me a break. So while he's getting me a beer, we're going to take a minute. Now it's time for us to hear about a crazy complaint from the Crazy Complaints Corner. I don't know exactly how to respond to this one other than just shaking my head. A couple had boarded their ship and had a drink before they were finally told that their balcony cabin was ready. So they head to their balcony cabin, right? They go to check everything out, including the balcony, and then they call guest services from their room and they demand to be moved. The assistant purser was on duty that day, and he was worried that the housekeeping staff might have missed cleaning the room, or maybe something was left in the bathroom. Upon inquiring what on earth was wrong, they said that they needed to be like, why would they need to be moved? Their answer was that they were told that they would get a balcony with an ocean view, and the lady explained that all she saw out of her balcony was a parking lot. I don't know how I'd be able to keep a straight face with this one, but I suppose nobody told the poor lady prior to boarding the ship that the ship is not stationary and it does in fact move, and if she would just wait a few more moments until the ship moved, she'd get an ocean view. Um, yeah, I don't know how I'd handle that one, especially after I worked in customer service for 6 years and I can't piece that one together in my head. Some people, I don't know. Anyway, that's a crazy complaint. And remember, if you work with guests for a cruise line and you have a crazy complaint story, please be sure to send it an email to complaintstories@cruiseweek.tv. And also, please tell us how you resolved the situation because we definitely want to hear from you. Also, remember that we have loads of great videos from our trips, plus tech and money-saving tips on our website at cruiseweek.tv. And if you like our trips and this show, you can support us by going to cruiseweek.tv/support. And there you'll be able to help us and enable us to keep bringing you great weekly content and ship tours and interviews. And for as little as a few dollars a month, you can become an Inner Circle member and get early access to great videos and specials, plus a great cruiseweek.tv Inner Circle t-shirt that's only available to our Inner Circle members. We'd like to thank our supporters, everyone who supports the show. Thank you very much. And we're going to move now to our Show Us Your Face segment. This week's Show Us Your Face picture comes in from Anne Thornburg. And in this picture, we see all 3 generations of her family on the Conquest. Yeah. Looks like that might have been on formal night that picture was taken. Very pretty. So thank you for sending that in, Anne. And if you want to send us in your best cruise photo to possibly be shown on our show, you can either email it to photos@cruiseweek.tv or just add the hashtag cruiseweekphoto to the description on Facebook, and we'll be sure to find it. I also want to thank Kathy from the RC Periscopers group for giving us shout-outs over the Periscope and helping in the Periscope chat room. Is very, very much appreciated. If you want to see live video from many Royal Caribbean ships, check out the RC Periscopers group on Facebook. So we, and by we, I mean everyone but me, had an amazing and fun time on the Triumph and in Cozumel, and they came back with so many great videos that we're going to be posting 2 new ones each week. And if you ever have wondered just what it's like behind the scenes, what the crew does, well, we've got all the answers and the great videos to prove it. Unfortunately, we don't have any souvenirs. They didn't bring any souvenirs back for me. They don't like me. I don't know why. I'm sorry. I'm not bitter. Anyway, we're super excited to let you know a few things about the shows that we have coming up in the future. I'm going to be getting a co-host for one, and I'm going to be working with him to bring you more guests and fun details about everything Royal Caribbean. Matt and Shally are going to be bringing you all the latest and greatest Carnival news, and all the guests from Carnival as well. Plus, remember, Matt's interview with Jess from the U.S., the cruise director on the Triumph, she's going to be joining our show as well, and she's going to be sending a new and fun, exciting segment each time for Matt and Shally. So you're going to see a lot more of Jess on the Triumph starting next week. Also, we're excited to tell you that our little group is growing, and we're going to be able to continue to bring unique and new content and guests that you're just not going to get anywhere else. And we're going to be able to have our guests interact with you and answer your cruise questions each week so we can all learn together, because Matt and I aren't experts and some of you guys aren't either. Speaking of next week, Matt and Shally are going to be back with their guest, Jim Farrell, who is an expert on passports and immigration. He's going to be dispelling all the myths and giving you guys facts and pointers about traveling outside and coming back into the United States. When you need a passport, when you don't, plus what to do if you get stuck and miss the ship, and all you have is a birth certificate on you. All this, plus Jess from the US next week on cruiseweek.tv. I'm going to be back in 2 weeks with another special guest and a whole new bunch of information. So until then, make sure you subscribe to get the updates. And as always, we'll see you on the ships. Stay fun, cruisers.